If you think about it, books are the antithesis to modern society. Due to how easy it is to get everything, whether through a phone swipe or even just through a simple text, we tend to forget that this is a real item. This item, called a book, can be taken with us anywhere at any time and place. It's truly special to know that something like this, written decades before this video, has the value that it still does to this day. And yet, when we consider modern society and how much we've gone through, how much time has changed since the conception of books, we learn that books do not work in today's world. It's too easy to forget the fact that we can just get everything at the swipe of our fingertips. And because of that, books are quote-unquote useless. However, with this video, I'm going to illustrate the fact that books are not as useless as I made it out to be, but rather something greater than ourselves and why it should still matter to this very day. Hello. If you don't know me, my name is Arnel Arcega. I'm one of the healthiest authors and writers on this platform. As such, I educate people on reading and writing so that I can make it more of a positive habit, not seen in the way we were taught. If you want personal help to write your own book or your own project, check out my Instagram down the link in the description, as well as my books down there as well. For now, let's talk about the crux of this video. Society failed readers. But here is the solution. We learn over the course of our lifetime that books are one of those easy but difficult habits that take a lot of our own time. It's because of the fact that when we are young, we're taught to read. Going to the library was a frequent visit back when I was an elementary school kid, and over the course of time, I really understood for a fact that libraries are one of those sacred places in which you can take your time to breathe. It was something fun when I was a kid, but as I get older, that feeling of fun has slowly dissipated and became something more tangible, and that tangibility is self-improvement. While my advice tends to come off as just more self-improvement tack, I do understand for a fact that books are much more than that. Books have this magical feeling that takes me back to when I was a kid. In today's society, we don't view this as much because it's often associated with nerds. And that nerdy aspect tends to drive away many people, especially the youth, from reading. It's easy to forget that we have books at our hand because we can scroll on YouTube, we can watch that new Let's Play video or something along those lines. Because of how hard it is to sit down and read a page or two out of a book, we learn for a fact that books are useless. That's how we view it in our minds, and that is how society shapes it due to how hard it is. But this is where I come in. You came to this video knowing for a fact that books have failed readers similar like me and you. And even me, I've fallen into this trap of just ignoring books for a while. Back in my month of October, after I finished the book Supermarket, I truly didn't understand where to go from here. I continued to write, but I stopped reading. I stopped reading on my Kindle, and I stopped reading physically. With how easy it is to grasp a book, we have to ask ourselves, why is it so hard to continue reading each and every day? And this is where the subculture of different people come to mind. Books are associated with nerds, first and foremost. But then there's different types of stereotypes we give out to people, such as jocks, preps, those cooks, and so on. But all of them, in my humble opinion, deserve to read books. No matter how strong and muscular you are, how pretty and fashionable you are, you deserve the power to read a book. Our ability to educate our minds is one of the strongest rights we have as people. And I'm telling you, it's genuinely impressive to me that we can read information decades before our own existence and get the knowledge we want out of it. For instance, I've been reading The Right to Write by Julia Cameron. This book talks about the idea of writing. However, my own experience sitting through the first few chapters of this morning helped me understand why books build success. It's not just a nerdy habit for someone to take their time out of their day to. It's a simple mindset. It's a piece of learning outside of school. The problem with these stereotypes is we see this a lot in school. Preps, jocks, nerds, goth, so on. It makes sense why, because we are often negotiated to the sides and we're put in different subcultures. And with this online space, it's almost identical to that same logic. With that said, however, To build success, you have to put time into yourself. Through Anton Chekhov, one of his most famous quotes is, if you want to work on your acting, work on yourself. And that same case applies with books, reading, and writing. It's important to know why this matters, because when we're trying to build success, we want to learn. It's not just about schools learning, but it's about educating yourself outside of the current place you are. And that is why I value books so much, both nonfiction and fiction. The problem with today's readers is the fact that we do not know what kind of books we want to read. We often choose pleasure over books, the easy stimulation over the hard, druding task. And even for those who want to read books, those who say they are readers tend to read the most degenerate pieces of fiction I have ever seen in my life. And I want you to understand this. Books are a form of art. However, the information you are taking in from books should be something that should positively change your mindset. Absolutely do not read a book that will make you feel worse in the end. It doesn't help you, it doesn't aid you, and it will make you feel like that one South Park clip featuring the Catcher in the Rye. Speaking of that book, we should know that types of books are valuable, but you should not go for all-time bestsellers or all-time classics. This is because when you consider what kind of books society wants you to read, they focus on these big, huge books. I know I emphasized those books and 1984, but I'm telling you, it's not about the huge success of these books. It's about the content you're getting out of it. And if you want the greater success out of any field you want from the subcategory you come from, then you need to read a book similar to your values. Our modern society has shaped books in so many different ways, but as a reader, it stuns me to know that books are not the way of getting information. It's so easy to scroll on Instagram and TikTok, but to sit down with a book and read maybe even just 2 pages, that is success in multiple different ways. And I'm telling you, it's truly astonishing to know that we have this power, the power to read books and to have fun with it and to enjoy every little second of it. How do we get back to that point to people who's fallen victim to that feeling of stopping, that feeling of not wanting to read a book and to simply let it drain you? Let's understand the fact that books are huge. They take a lot of our time and a lot of our space. And I want you to understand this. As more and more people begin to read books, we have to know what type of reader you're going to become. For our modern society, we tend to focus a lot on degeneracy, all the bad habits we do, and all the negative aspects that push away more positive things such as books. With that said, I believe with this movement I'm making, we're going to have new kinds of readers dubbed healthy readers. These are the ones that value books not just for the sake of learning, but also to improve their lives. As I said earlier in this video, self-improvement is one of the biggest key factors in reading. And my value of success and how I've gotten to the point I am now is because I took the time to sit my ass down and start reading both the fiction and the nonfiction. It's beautiful to know that this process is real and it makes you feel a lot more happier, a lot more carefree, and even some people started telling me my skin looked like I was glowing, all because of the fact that I was reading and getting the sleep that was required for it. Books are important, but we should understand where it falls in our life. We should know when to read and when to do specific things. For my advice, I would suggest to read between the morning and night periods. Don't try to spend the afternoon as much, but if you are going to read in the afternoon, do it outside, especially on a nice sunny day. Obviously, if the weather's not okay, stay inside, but if you want that best experience to help fulfill your mind and feed the energy to make your brain 100 times better, then you need to take in the sunlight and breathe while reading the book. It's a lot like breathing for that matter, in the fact that it's tangible by anyone. But the moment you focus on it, everything becomes peaceful. You become more relaxed, and the power of that book and the power of that reading experience sticks in your mind much more. Over the course of 2025, I have read over 9 books. And while that may sound like a small number, for someone like me, this is huge, especially for how much effort I'm putting into each and every one of these books. I'm not trying to be someone to tell you that you should just read a book from start to finish, but rather use your own area of life to learn and educate yourself. I am a writer, and as such, I teach people how to read and write. And to be able to read a book about how to write is one of the biggest things I could ever do. That same case applies if you're into sports, cooking, or fashion. Look into these areas that you can read about, and you can do your own research online, but I highly suggest to look into a book. Go to your local bookstore and look into these areas. It's much more fulfilling to learn about it through your hands or through a small mobile screen rather than to just consume content left and right. It sits with our brain longer because we are processing the information. Every book has its own personalized views. Even though the author can write it one way, we all view it in our own unique way. And that is the power of reading. The reason why it's lasted this long is because of the longevity every book has, no matter if it's good or bad. We all have to understand that books have a power, this feeling of relief that comes in each and every one of us. And by the time you start reading a book, you become lighter and more free. Remember to understand that books are a way of knowledge, not just a way to get things done. It's not a way to look better, but it's a way to make us learn and educate ourselves. School taught us to hate books. We sat in classes forced to read pages that we do not care for. So my biggest action step for you is to find a book that you genuinely are passionate about. If you can't, then go find the nearest book. It's focusing your mind on discipline and less on the motivation to read. It's a good feeling to be motivated to read, but once you get to that process of reading, it's the discipline in every little word that you come across. And having to reread a sentence is the worst thing you can do. But the less you do it, the more you have this feeling of power over a book. Once you get that feeling across, you will never stop reading for the rest of your life. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you can use this time to start picking up a book, start reading about the niche you crave, and to learn about it, both fiction and nonfiction. I highly suggest both, and for fiction in particular, read whatever interests you. When you have this feeling of being able to read a book, it's all about your intrigue surrounding it. By then, you can be more disciplined, and by then, you will become a successful reader. Continue to do the hard work, and until next time, keep on reading, keep on writing, and take care.